Welcome back. For the past many decades, no matter how much India has changed, sometimes it feels our politics is still stuck in 1947. We haven't been able to get out of the two nation theory. It was so well ingrained into us, so well brainwashed we were, that for so many years, generations even, after the British have come and gone, we are still trying to figure out whether Hindus in this country can live with Muslims in this country, and are being often told that it can't happen. We are all participants in all of this, whether we like it or not. We are all human beings. Therefore, in our human frailty, it becomes inevitable that we have our own biases. Sometimes we resort in such deep one-upmanship that we lose sight of what this was for. In many cases, we become hypocrites. And how complicated it has become that when a disease strikes due to bad leadership of a person who should have taken a better call, and bad luck of the circumstances of fate, to call out those people becomes Islamophobia, which is not the case. Something went wrong. But at the same time, all of India's 200 million Muslims get defamed and tagged, that many generations of children will be told that the Muslims brought coronavirus to India. When this becomes the fate, something different is called for. So we have to ask ourselves the question, what should be different? We asked ourselves the question here a few weeks ago, and for several weeks, those of you who follow us would know that we've been holding conversations of what new leadership must come out within India's Muslim community to reclaim the identity of Islam in India as different from Tablighi and Wahhabi, but representing an Indian culture, an Indianness to it, so that Indian Muslim can say out and call out, do not link me to what the Saudis are doing or what the Malaysians are doing or the Indonesians are doing. We are not the same. We had that conversation a few days ago. And today a development has given the opportunity to get a few people in together to have the same conversation. A group of 200 Muslim intellectuals in this country have come together and founded the IMPAR, it's Indian Muslims for Progress and Reforms. I have 4 of them on the panel with me tonight: Shahid Siddiqui, Dr. Zafar Mahmood, Dr. Nuzhat Hussain, and Ms. Shiba Aslam joining us in just a bit. Let me take the opportunity to begin with Dr. Mahmood. Dr. Mahmood, let's start with what was the logic of this and what's it for?
What was the logic for what?
For setting.
Okay. So, as you have just now mentioned, the history, the background of the last several years, that the Muslims have been at the receiving end. In fact, during the last 2 days only, I have penned down a message, and I have also voiced it to the Muslim community of India, that we will have to admit that of late our country is a little bit changing for ourselves. So that is the reality. So what Muslims of India, the Muslim intellectuals, the forward-looking Muslim people who are not caring only about the present generation but also of the future generations, not only for the Muslim community, Muslim generation, but the entire Indian nation, for the next generations to come, what to do today so that our present as well as the future becomes bright. So that is the purpose for which we came forward together, and we formed ourselves into this.
Now, how? So the next question it becomes, how do you intend to do this? Now, what's the plan of action?
We have to reach out. We have to reach out to the entire nation, to all shades of public opinion, to followers of all the faiths, to different sections of society, to all both the genders, and in all possible way. We have to reach out to them. We have to find commonalities. We have to emphasize on the commonalities. We have to emphasize on the unity of nationhood, then which should be supreme as against any other factor. So this is what we have come.
How do we do it, sir? Because there is a reality check, and the reality check is whether we like it or we don't like it. There are some things that have now happened around us. For many people in this country, it's going to be difficult because kids will be told. I've had several of these conversations with members of parliament from the Muslim faith and others. And how do we solve this problem? Because if kids today are being told that, look, Muslims brought corona to India because of the irresponsible behavior of a few leaders who should have known better, how do we undo that damage?
Our work has already begun by you asking me this question on the national television and I answering it, and many others also answering it. The work has already begun because those kids whom you are referring to, many kids, thousands, tens of thousands would be watching this program also, and they'll get to know the reality also. They will get to hear the different voices here. So that has already begun. This is how we have to do. We have to reach out to various sections of society and also reach out particularly to those who are silent spectators. I and all of us have firm faith that overwhelming majority of the Hindu community has got their heart at the right place. But the only thing is that most of them have to participate in the national discourse, because the national discourse is being controlled, I would say, in a way, the space is being filled by one sort of opinion mostly. That is the reason why this problem has arisen. Not that this problem was not existing in any other society or in any phase of...
Have you done, sir, before I rope in Dr. Hussain, have you in your conversations had the opportunity to reflect of what the real problems there are? Now, there are real problems that leadership of the Muslim community thus far has been claimed by certain individuals who revel in provocation. There are people on all sides, clearly, but so far these people claim that they are the leaders of the Muslim community. Leadership has been sometimes stolen away from other people who have not spoken up. The problems that on certain causes we see a lot of people getting upset. On other issues, there is no talk, hypocrisy, things that happen. The one-upmanship that's been going on in this country, what reflection have you done?
You're asking me or Dr. Hussain?
Yes, Dr. Mahmood is for you, sir.
Okay. See, you are saying that you are in fact echoing what I've been saying in different words, that because there has been lack of proper representation, lack of the will of the Muslim community, particularly the intelligentsia, to come forward, particularly in a united fashion, to reclaim India of our dreams, to reclaim the India of our past, to reclaim the India of over the last 70 years. So therefore, this is the new the forum which has been created, IMPAR, that Indian Muslims for Progress and Reform, because we have to, so that we have to devote our time, we have to devote our resources, we have to devote our love.
So your logic and assumption is hopefully in the right place, and I'm going to ask you a few questions on that. Let me take the opportunity to quickly bring into the telecast Dr. Hussain. Dr. Hussain, now there is a problem, ma'am, and it's a known and established problem, and it's a problem that I take equal culpability, because we were told once upon a time when we were younger that be the change you want to see. Now the easiest thing in the world has been, after the Markaz cases, is to have one Muslim and somebody who's of the Hindu faith sit on a TV channel like this and hammer it out and say all sorts of nonsensical things and turn this into a tamasha. Now, one can make a cogent decision. We have ability to make choices and we can choose not to do that. So, a few weeks ago we decided we would choose not to do it. We would actually either have people of the Muslim faith appealing for people to come forward or doctors giving medical advice. No point for the brickbats. At this point of time, any person who comes and speaks rationally would be somebody I would like to encourage. Dr. Hussain, but with that encouragement, what introspection and reflection is happening from your side of what actually real problems that need to be addressed? Ma'am, could you just unmute your mic, please? It'll be on your screen. Yeah, got you. Ma'am, there'll be a button on your screen at the bottom. Which has a microphone on it. Please unmute it. Yeah, we can hear you now. Go ahead, ma'am.
It's all good. Okay, sure. So basically, what I feel is that the community, the Muslim community, has been judged by a particular prototype of the community that has been shown on television, and what the public needs to be seen and also understand that there is like a wide variety out there, and they should not judge the Muslim community by these particular prototypes which are being projected there. Secondly, when you talk of the Markaz incident, I personally feel, I'll tell you of my experience. I went to a conference in the US. It was a US CAP, which was like 4,000 people attending the conference, and the dates of this event was 29th February to 6th of March. And at that point, there was no global per se rules saying that no travel. We attended the conference. The only thing that happened there was that the Chinese delegation didn't come. And there was like a very light banter saying, okay, there was like a lot of sanitizer all over the place, and people were, very lightly saying, don't shake hands. So this was the situation, probably along the same dates when the Markaz event occurred. I have organized international conferences, and I know that when you invite foreign speakers, you need a permission from the External Affairs Ministry. So it wasn't something that was happening just off the, it was an event that was known to occur annually and was occurring. And there were a lot of parallel events that were occurring at that point too.
Okay, is the Tablighi Jamaat, ma'am, because several people did come on tourist visas. Okay, but you say, okay, if not the ministry, the intelligence knows that these events happen, and let's face it, a month ago, fine, fair enough, we didn't know. So there is a bit of bad luck. Subsequently, there has been bad leadership. But specifically, ma'am, I just want to address this question.
We cannot make patients into criminals.
Okay, if you'll just allow me just to take the question, ma'am, and it's important to address it head on. Because the issue is, and there's a truism in this also, the Tablighi Jamaat and its methodologies do not represent the thinking of 200 million Muslims in India. How do we draw that distinction?
Well, in fact, when very frankly speaking, I was not much aware of the Tablighi Jamaat before all this whole incident came up. And we have to understand that Muslims are participatory in all avenues of life in India. You cannot separate them out and say, okay, these are Muslims and these are Hindus. And this is very unfortunate that this is happening. And this is one of the purposes of this organization, is to decrease the gap. We need to introspect, I understand. We have weaknesses in the community. There is a lack of education. There is a lack of global perspective. And this is the purpose of the organization, is to reach out and also, to kind of improve things maybe at an overall national level, to build a think tank, to get the information in one place, and to be able to organize things better so that the acceptability of the community at a national level becomes better.
Okay, so what is, there is a ma'am, and I support any effort that tries to break this 80-year mentality in this country. Like I said, sometimes it feels like we're living in 1947, the kinds of issues that we are constantly happening. And we have let a few people dominate that conversation. So they seem like representatives of all of us when that's not the case. What is the introspection? Because for people who need to introspect on the other side, I'll ask them. But what is the introspection and the retrospection that you guys are doing about what has gone wrong? That a certain Wahhabism or Deobandism or Tablighism is now being associated with mainstream Islam when that's not the case.
Well, I agree with you when you say that, but this association as to how strong it is actually there at grassroots level and how much of it has been actually projected in the media is a question mark there, right? And one of the other things that I want to point out is that there's definitely a lack of education out there. There is definitely a lack of communication at grassroots level with these people. We need to push them into the mainstream. We need to get them into an education which is an education at par with everybody else and not just confined to religion. So these are things that the Empower is looking at. The Empower is also looking at delivering schemes which are already there in government sector, but unfortunately there has not been a handshake at the grassroots level with these schemes. So if these schemes, we can be the people who can, be inform them about it, get them on board, assist them in getting informed, and maybe that will cause a progress. Obviously, this progress is not going to be immediate. It will take some time.
The immediate
but
criticism.
It will also require
The immediate
some
criticism, and I've been sitting in the middle of these brickbats for a very long period of time, ma'am, and I'll be grateful for anyone who can end them for me. The immediate criticism is that of hypocrisy. That if current example, that when two Hindu priests die in Palghar, nobody from the Muslim community speaks up, and the reverse is also thrown. How do we get past these easy, publicly digestible critiques?
I would not agree. There was on Twitter a lot of criticism of the incident from a lot of Muslims who are well placed. And again, this incident was tried to be made into a communal issue when actually it was not. So, I mean, these are things that I think the media needs to be a little more careful. The society as such needs to be a little more careful and to introspect and realize that we need to strike the right balance. There has to be a right degree of tolerance out there with a right degree of critique. Critique is important.
Okay. I think if we just sort of tone down the tempo a little bit for all of us and take a pause for the cause, we can sort of reset and reapproach. Just stay with me, ma'am. Let me get Shahid Siddiqui into this conversation. Shahid bhai, thanks very much for joining us on a day. I thought I'll take the opportunity, since I know the idea would have the right logic, and we would want to encourage such kinds of approaches in this country. I've been asking Dr. Zafar Mahmood and Dr. Nusrat Hussain the questions on why this was set up. So let me ask you the following questions. How do we, or how do you in this group of 200 people, which contains many names who are very openly critical of the current establishment, which is fine, they're right to be openly critical, but how do we get past that innate inner bias that we as human beings have? How do you work at a larger level when even within the community there are people who are very angry with the current establishment?
You see, there has been a problem basically not only with the media, not only with those who are against critics of Muslims, but within the community itself. The Muslim middle class has not really identified itself with the common Muslims. And it's good that the educated Muslim middle class is now looking towards the community and trying to provide a leadership to the community. And leadership is not political. It has to be in every field of life. And that's what this group is trying to do. And it's not only about this crisis now of COVID-19. The crisis is there in the field of education. The crisis is there in the social reforms, in the field of women's education. So that's where we will be focusing. And unfortunately, in the past, basically the groups which were active were related to religious groups like Jamiatul Ulama or Jamaat Islami or Tablighi Jamaat or others. The educated Muslims, the middle class Muslims, they did not have any group as such. They were individual voices, and individual voices do not carry weight. And therefore, we decided to form this group so that we can come out
it's a right idea, and like I said, I've raised the issue because Shahid bhai, the first thing the people are going to say, and some people will buy it. They're going to go through your list of people and start taking out names.
Among the Muslims,
Shahid Siddiqui, if you can hear me, sir.
And about the issues which are so important to the nation,
can you hear me?
And economic as well as educational, social, political, all that.
Shahid bhai, can you hear me? Because the first thing people are going to go through the list. and they're going to say, oh, this person is known to be against Modi, this person is known to be against Modi, this person is known to be against Modi. Now, within the group, your responsibility is to, of course, ensure that if there is over the group, there is no bias, and then the outside the group has to understand that if you are critical of an establishment, doesn't mean you can't be a participant in finding a solution.
No, it has nothing to do with being critical of Congress or critical of BJP. We are basically wanting to bring about some change. We are change in perception. It has nothing to do with politics. We may have our political views. They are outside this group. Like you can be a member of a social organization. This is kind of a social organization. It is not a political group. So we can have our politics.
No, it's a very much needed exercise, and I've repeated it several times. I promise you, Shahid Siddiqui, I had a debate 3 days ago. And I had a debate 3 days ago, just 3 days ago. So when I was reading this, when information from my reporter told me with your list, which is why I invited you on the panel, because 3 days ago I was looking for moderate voices, because today if you ask for a TV debate, you automatically get a set of people who say such obnoxious things that all you do is end up having an argument. We've had a half an hour long conversation and nobody said anything obnoxious, and we've had a reasonable conversation.
Unfortunately, there are so many moderate voices. But you choose
even though my questions are not being subtle, I'm asking direct questions. So Shahid Siddiqui, one more direct question. What happened, Shahid Siddiqui? What happened? I have to ask you. You've been an observer.
And therefore,
you've been an observer and participant for many years, Shahid Siddiqui. At what point of time was the entire conversation hijacked? Because we were told by certain groups that if the Ram Mandir is built in Ayodhya, hell would break loose. That didn't happen. So clearly some conversation was hijacked somewhere.
You see, we were working on the ground, and that's why nothing happened on Ayodhya. That's why when the triple divorce decision came, nothing happened. Why it did not happen? Because people like us were working on the ground. We are much more powerful on the ground. We know that those people who are there in this group have much more say on the ground. But unfortunately, the media does not recognize them. Media will recognize me in my political capacity, not in my social capacity, not as an educationist, not as a person who is working for social reforms. So the problem is that media itself has blinkers, and that blinkers has not allowed it to see wide and around. They have just limited faces which are picked up, which speak according to the demands of the anchors. That has been unfortunately the case from both sides. From Hindu sides also, the rabid people come, and from Muslims also, such characters come who do not even understand Islam. I'm sorry to say, they may have a beard, they may have a topi, but doesn't mean that they understand Islam. They are not the ulama. Genuine ulama have not been picked up by the media. I don't know why. Is it deliberate or is it fault is on our part? And I agree that there's some fault on our part.
No, we should share fault. I'll buy the critique wholeheartedly. And like I said, for weeks, I've been trying to unpull this apart since the time of Shaheen Bagh. To how do you have a conversation with Jamia students? How do you have a conversation with AMU students? How do you have a conversation in this country without everybody saying obnoxious things? And sometimes when it gets obnoxious, it becomes intolerable. So cogent conversations, even if they're pointed one, need to happen. Shahid Siddiqui, going forward at this immediate point of time, where will you begin? What's the first step?
I didn't get your question.
Where do you begin? Because the logical first step would be that as we demand change, what is that we should be changing ourselves?
Nothing. You don't have to change yourself. If you ask the right questions, maybe right people will come, and you don't always have to have a very interesting debate, not focusing on on anybody as a Muslim or as a Hindu. Focus on us as Indians, as experts in different fields, different faces. And I may be a doctor, I may be a journalist, but I can also talk about Islam. Why only a mullah has to talk about Islam? Why Dr. Nahid cannot speak about Islam or about what the divorcee women or issues or Shaheen Bagh?
You should.
I mean, why it
You
has
should.
to be a particular face, a particular topi, a particular caricature?
By
which
all
you have
means
to
you
pick
should.
up. That has
Okay.
been the case with the films. That has
Okay,
been the case
I've
with
run
the
out of
media,
time.
that they want
I've run out of
stereotypes.
time. And any effort like this, and I'm going to thank all of you for joining us on the telecast. As you would have noticed, for viewers watching, we can have complicated conversations which are not easy to have calmly and address real issues. And if we keep trying to do this, maybe we break away from the tamasha that we have created for the past several years, which is so much easier to do. It's so much easier to do. It's a lot more difficult to have an intelligent, gripping conversation. For me, it is more difficult to do than have two people yelling at each other, because then that's just entertainment. And you will agree with one side and go, हाँ, क्या अच्छा बोला. And the other guy is completely nonsense. And the other person will say, हाँ, ये अच्छा बोला, the other guy is complete nonsense. We've been doing that for too long. And that's not solved any problems. There are very serious introspection that people of the Muslim faith need to do in this country about what could be done better within their own faith. If they are doing it, that's a great thing to happen. There is very serious introspection media needs to do in how it's approached this issue, whether it's applied its mind or gone for the lowest common denominator, which should happen. And there are very serious questions that the rest of the country needs to ask and answer, that if we are saying Vishwas from Vivad, what's the step we are walking in that direction? If we do this, moments of crisis can bring out the best in us rather than the worst in us. I'm going to wish you all the best. I'm hoping the ideals with which you have created this survive for many, many months to come, on years to come. And thank you very much for joining us on the telecast.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.